That would be nice. It'd make things a lot easier. No, Woodlands is actually our most attended thing we do, but it's kind of, if you've gone once, you've been there, done that, you've bought the t-shirt, it's less overwhelming for our kiddos, and then you guys will be in this same boat next year if your kids go back. But I'll just pray first real quick. Really the goal of this is just to help you get your kiddo ready physically and spiritually. And then there's power in prayer. We know that. We'll pray together as parents, and then if you have any questions, I'll answer those for you. And I always say this before we start anything, but I just commend you guys for the financial sacrifice. It is not cheap. And I mean, anytime, and the way that I kind of talk about it is, if I were to take my boys anywhere out of Greenville for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, pay for lodging and food and attractions, and especially in today's economy, especially just food, I think Woodlands just says it's just making the rate of camp just go through the roof. But thank you for the financial sacrifice. I'm a huge believer in Woodlands. I went there as a kid, led worship there many summers. We've been taking the youth group there since early 2000s. Big John is a really good friend of mine. And honestly, we have seen Woodlands camp over the year really change the trajectory of so many students' lives. There's something really special about no cell phones. You're gone for 6 days, 5 nights, I think. And they're just entrenched in God's word, biblical community. Their counselors are just amazing. So we're just really thankful for what God's going to do again this summer. But I think this will be my 15th summer here at North Hills. And there are kids that are 30 years old that still talk about their week at Woodlands. God used it just to make light bulbs go off or change their hearts towards certain things. So we know we're sending our youngest to camp, and I think we had to pay, but there's no better way to spend your money. That's just me personally. I know I kind of have to say that because this is our gig, but I really do believe in it. Like, if I didn't believe in it, we wouldn't take our kids there. So anyways, our summer philosophy of ministry is called Head, Heart, and Hands. So this is the heart portion. Woodlands does a really great job of going after their hearts and just inundating them with scripture, lots of late night porch talks with their counselors. Now, we will be there. We think Woodlands is very unique in the aspect of we do hand them off to counselors that have been vetted and hired through Big John. This aspect I think is special because, and I'm sure you feel this as parents, you say something to your kid and it goes in one ear and out the other, but then we say the same thing and they go, huh, that's brilliant.
I've never heard that.
I know. And you're sitting there as the parent like, are you kidding me? Well, sometimes we feel like that with the counselors. Sometimes it takes a 25-year-old counselor just to say something and it echoes youth group and home, and it just happens. So who is here from middle school? I know you guys are.
I'm not high school.
And you're both high school?
High school, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So middle school week is June 9th through the 14th. High school is June 23rd through the 28th. And then Nick, you can jump in at any time. Departure day for both middle school and high school will be 12:30. And the goal is to take off at 1 p.m. We'll more than likely do it under the awning of D.
Yeah, we'll probably have tables set up kind of in that foyer area, and Gabby usually does a really good job of making sure we've got everything check-in wise, and then we'll get stuff loaded up and try and move on pretty quickly from there.
So what time show up at 12:30?
Yeah, 12:30, like get your kiddo checked in, say hi to people, hugs, kisses. The bus, we're hoping, will take off at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Which, in all transparency, there's always a family that shows up at 12:59 and a half. And then, but it is what it is. We're in no rush to get out. But if you can get there at 12:30, that's really helpful.
What kind of bus are you guys taking? Is it like one of the church buses?
We'll take both of the mini buses, and then for high high school, I think, will also take the transit.
We'll take the North Hills vehicles.
Yeah.
I think this year Champion Coach was just so expensive.
Yeah.
I don't think we could justify the $4 or $5 grand.
Yeah, it really is that much.
They
I know
were
from the school band program,
Yeah.
those buses are super expensive.
And I think whatever we had budgeted wasn't even enough.
No.
So even if
it
we
was
wanted
about
to,
right.
I don't think we had
We
enough
got a
money.
quote from them back in September, and then we turned around and we got our actual figures in January, and it was double. And I was like,
Yeah.
But we're blessed. Most churches don't have the vehicle usage that we have.
Yeah.
But all adults driving have been vetted. They're on the church's insurance. We're not just handing it off to,
Somebody with headphones.
hey, you have a heartbeat. So as far as coming
Why not
back
ride?
on that Saturday, it always varies. You always have a plan of leaving by 10 a.m. and getting back by noon, and it just doesn't happen. You have one kid who loses his luggage, and it takes us forever to find it, or
someone left some keys in the van.
yeah, it was last year. It just so.
Keys
If
for the
you
van.
don't already follow us on our social media platforms, I'll put the ETA. The moment the GPS tells me, I'll go right to social media and post it. So the goal is right before lunchtime. But if you check social media, Instagram and Facebook, we'll put the ETA on there. Okay, this next thing is really annoying, and I'm sorry that you have to do it because it's somewhat new to Woodlands. But medicine, if you're sending medicine with your kiddo, they have to be put into blister packs. So, I know, I didn't know what this was either. If you go to CVS, like let's say...
I get it, but you can, like, okay, never mind.
Well, like let's say
Okay.
Franklin is finishing up his prescription that had started with 50 pills, but now he only has 10. They don't want him bringing the
Whole bottle.
Yeah, the whole bottle. Or he's only there for a week and he brings 60 pills, but he only needs them for 7 days. Yeah,
Or they will share them also.
correct. There's been a lot of sharing. And
That's
Yeah.
weird.
Sorry.
I'm sure if it's like a TikTok challenge, they'll do it.
Yeah.
So Woodlands, I think it just helps them.
Liability wise, it's
Yeah.
just.
So you go to the pharmacy and put pills in a blister pack? Is that?
Yeah.
I heard of it. That was my curiosity. Okay.
It's-
What about over the counter stuff? Also?
No,
I'm not. Do they allow you to bring OTCs?
I think it's just.
I think they.
Oh,
Can they administer?
They
it?
have
They'll
their
go to the
own
nurse.
stuff.
Well, like, cause like we take allergy tablets.
Okay.
So, and it's
Anything
over the
that
counter.
anything that he has planned to take regularly, then go ahead and just put those in blister packs, and they'll.
yeah, like Tylenol, ibuprofen, they'll have that there. I don't
Unless
think
it's something that, like, Mary Beth takes a baby aspirin every night, like for her heart, and so anything that's regular administered blister packet. If it's something like, oh, he might have a headache, they'll have that stuff on hand.
Okay.
And what is a blister pack? Is it a Ziploc bag?
No.
It's like the individual things that you have to punch your thumb through and get them out of that annoying tinfoil capsule
yeah.
thing.
Or need the
So
heavy
we
duty-
take our, like, Eli gets migraines. So I would take Excedrin migraine, my bottle, and say, can you put this in a blister pack, or we have to buy it from CVS?
I think they blister pack it for you, right? Like your own prescription stuff.
For
You know,
prescription, but for over the counter.
For over the counter, I think it would be the same. I've never done it specifically.
So
So
it's my
when we do this, we need to I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll
so
inform y'all when we.
it's my understanding if it's over the counter, you can. Big John's wife, Julie Estes, is over the whole nurse program. If it's something you can get over the counter,
Yeah.
then they can just go to the nurses. But if it's something specific to your kiddo that's not over the counter, that has to be blister packed. But if it's something like headaches or stuff that you can just randomly go to CVS and buy, I think you don't have to blister that.
I think you could
Yeah, but
probably-
I don't think you can bring it. If you don't, if you
Correct.
bring it, it has to be blistered.
Yeah, I think
if
like
it's
the Excedrin, I'm sorry, I think the Excedrin you might be able to find in like the small pack that's already blister pack. My guess is that it's because of space and storage. Because can you imagine trying to store and sort little tiny medicine bottles all over the place? That's probably the biggest reason, because then they can just stick it in a file folder or
Put
bag.
it away, like,
yeah.
But like the Excedrin, I think you could probably get a smaller, like a 10-dose pack. And
Yes, you're
it'll
exactly
be
right.
a blister pack.
Yeah.
And as this camp has grown, I do think it's just a volume.
Yeah, it's the management of that.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have any more questions with that, just let me know. It is an extra step that they're asking. Thanks for doing that. I know it's just one more thing. You're already busy schedule. As far as luggage, every year, whether it's a 7th grader or a 12th grader, luggage gets lost. And it's just very surprising who doesn't know what their luggage is. And it's not labeled. We have a fun job. Like, you would think by the time they hit 16, 17, no.
They have
So-
an idea.
I
If
found
you
a
could-
sleeping bag under the stairs, I don't know, in December. And so I called the parent and she's like, we've been looking for that. She said she swore she brought it home. I was like, it's been under the stairs. She's like,
Well-
since this summer.
Yeah, normally I'll have 3 or 4 luggages just left. I'll go, is this yours? And they're like, I don't know. I go, what does your luggage look like? I don't know. So if you could just label the luggage, that would just be really helpful. Also, I'm not trying to be comical. If you could just coach your kiddo, if they don't put their luggage on the vehicle, we're not chauffeur. Like, we're not going to be like the valet that picks it up and puts it in. Like, they need to put their luggage. So we'll come back from Woodlands and the kid's like, I can't find my luggage. We're like, did you put it on the vehicle? And they'll go, no, I set it next to it. And we're like, oh. Because what will happen is our bus will be parked next to 18 other youth group buses. Well, we don't know if it's the kid from Tennessee or Georgia or North Hills. So once they come to a North Hills vehicle, take the luggage, walk it up, put it in the carry-on section of our bus. Especially if you're brand new to Woodlands. Like, that'll be really helpful for you guys to know.
Quick question. So what we found really useful is for all their stuff in a full-size luggage roller, not a carry-on size. So you're taking small buses.
Yeah, the back of the bus has room for the big, massive suitcases.
I mean, so that'll be okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause then it's one bag. The
More-
sleeping bag goes in, the pillow goes in there, everything
Right.
goes in there. So
I
it's
love it.
easy.
More of our ladies will do that. They'll have like a big old suitcase. It's more the guys that'll show up with like a.
Backpack.
Well, 'cause
I-
Tim was
I
saying-
was thinking actually a black can liner.
A drawstring little bag.
They just show
A
up.
toothbrush,
Yeah.
2 shirts, and a pair
Well,
of
Tim was
socks.
saying lift it up and put it in the carry-on
Yeah.
space. I'm like, how's Liberty gonna do
Well,
that?
oh, yeah. Like, if
Okay,
she,
bigger than you.
the bus driver can help put it on, but we've just had kids like put it behind the bus,
Yeah,
10 yards next to the bus.
yeah. I just
Yes.
making sure it's
I left
okay.
it in the cabin. I thought you were.
Well, I hate
Right,
to be like, there's no space for this luggage and let's empty it all out and put it in a garbage bag situation, you know. But
No, if she gets that luggage on the bus, the adults there will help Liberty get that in.
Do they stay in like actual cabins where their suitcase might be expected to go underneath their bed, so it needs to be the size that can do that?
Yeah, so Woodlands has like state-of-the-art cabins. Like, it's nicer than my house. Like, it's very different from like the Snowbird other camp we go to, which is like rugged, outdoor. This is where I'm staying. Like, the looks on these kids' faces. Yeah, Woodlands is a well-oiled machine. They'll have place for the suitcases. I think.
Have air conditioning in the cabins?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's.
Georgia in June is going to be hot.
otherwise, it would have been going on for 15 years.
Well, it is in the mountains,
Yeah.
but it is Georgia's.
You know, it gets hot.
You know, Eli goes to the Wilds every year, and the
Mm.
Wilds have had air conditioning for the girls' places, but not the boys until,
Mm.
and maybe not even last year. They haven't. It's like they make them rough it more than the girls, which
Wow.
is always a.
Well, you can tell Eli. There's AC.
Okay, that's
Okay, lastly, if your student isn't driving back with us, let us know. Now, I know that sounds really weird, but normally what will happen is we will take kids down the Woodlands, but the student's mom and dad swings by and gets them at the end of camp so they can keep going to Florida for their family vacation, and they don't tell us. And so we're like, where is this kid? And then the camp's like, oh, is she with North Hills? We're like, yeah. Her parents got her at 5 a.m. and they kept going to Florida. And we're like, they didn't tell us.
That would have been good information.
Or we were driving with a kid and they were like, there goes your parents.
Yeah, they didn't even tell us. The bus was pulling out and I saw the parents pulling into Woodlands. And I go, were those your parents? And he was like, yeah, I think they might be coming to get me. And we're like, no one told us. So anyways,
the kids don't know.
and that's just
So
when-
funny.
no, I love our students, but cluelessness. I think it's a good thing at times.
It's a virtue.
Ignorance is bliss, but
Yeah,
in
there's
this
still
case, they have no idea. So just FYI, if your kiddo isn't driving back, let us know. Let's talk money real quick. So most parents can put $50 on their kid's Woodlands card, and that'll last them the whole week of camp. The problem is if they want to buy like a t-shirt and a hat and probably get like a soda and a ice cream every day, that can get pretty pricey. So just start coaching your kid now. Like, hey, we can go to woodlands.com and look at their trading post tab of like the prices of everything. There is a way for you to keep up with how much money they're spending. You can go on and like look up the, punch in whatever information for your camper. So like when Levi goes, I can see, oh man, like he's just gone through his $25. I can either say, stings for you, Levi, or I could put more money in real time on his card. So this is the number one request I get from campers all week because they don't have phones. Will you please call my dad and tell him to put more money on my card? And you're like, but I know he put $60 on there, and they spend it in 10 minutes. So normally this is for the younger ones. They'll go through their money so quick.
Well, like Woodlands sent an email like, oh, most people put $100. I was like, what is my kid gonna buy for $100 at camp for 6 days? Like that's a lot of money.
I know.
If they don't have $100, they can't buy those T-shirts and sweatshirts
I was gonna say
and
the
merch in the
sweatshirts.
store. That they're trying to sell.
Sweatshirts are gonna.
Yeah. Now, everything food and drink wise is taken care of at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is probably like 2 p.m. They just got off the lake. They really want a Gatorade. Like it's anything extra to their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or I want a milkshake. Or
They have a coffee shop type thing too.
man,
right?
they're like the Disney World of camps. If you can dream it, Woodlands will probably have it. Like it's very easy. But the good thing is they have it all on their bracelet. So they can just scan their bracelet. They don't have to keep up with like dollars and cents kind of thing. So once
And they're all cashless.
Yep. Once you
So-
move your USD, United States dollars, it becomes the Woodlands currency. And I don't think there is a way. So like let's say you put $100 on your kid's bracelet, they only spend 80, they'll credit that $20 back to you.
That's gonna be my only question.
But there's another tricky thing in
Once
here.
you send it, it's gone.
Well, there's another tricky thing in here that have upset our parents over the years. At the end of camp, they have a offering, and which is great on one level. It's with the seed company, with Margaret,
Mm-hmm.
who is Peter Hubbard's niece, who goes to church here. But let's say you put $100 on there, they only spend 70, and then you look at their breakdown and go, well, what happened to the other 30? And they go, oh, I donated it. And you're like, okay, I wish I would have known that, or I would have. So just talk with your kid. Hey, when they do that, the money I'm giving you, if you want to give $5 towards or whatever, that's fine. But that comes from your allotted money that we're giving you. I think a lot of kids are just tired. They feel moved by the Spirit, and the parents are like, how much did you give? And they're looking at us, and we're like, I don't know. Like, so
They
just
did
heads
that
up.
with freestyle too.
Then Liberty
Yep.
will start filing taxes then if she does something like that.
Right. So just heads up, they will do that.
Can they
So
choose how much they give if it's just a wave of the wand? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Is all the money then?
Like the
on
plate
this?
goes by and you
you.
just.
Yeah. So
Scan
you'll
the
be able to
plate
see
as
it
it
in
goes
real
by
time.
and drains
It's
your
coming in.
account.
So they use a debit card or no? It's all Woodlands money. So you have to change your money into Woodlands.
And
money.
I've asked them that, and they're like, man, kids just lose their debit cards, or wallets get stolen, or they're like, if we just keep it all on a bracelet,
Okay.
it just keeps things so much
Simplifies everything.
simpler.
They have a picture with theirs. It's what the Wilds does when they scan it, like in a store. A picture of them comes up so that if kids steal each other's
I'm
bracelets,
betting
it
it's
comes
a
up.
very similar system than what the Wilds
Yeah.
use,
Okay.
Yeah, and then the only other extra cost would just be, I think one round of paintball is included in camp. But if your kid wants to do paintball 10,000 times throughout the week, I think it costs for the paintballs. So, like my Judah and Levi would want to know that because they would do extra chores just so they could play paintball every day. But that's the only other extra thing. So I coach parents. With Levi, we knew Pee Wee Camp was coming up, so he does chores since August. So he wants to take money. I'm like, well, I'm not putting $100 on your card. He's like, I'll work for it. So just make your kids work for it. And I think too, if they do work for it and they earn it, they don't spend it like it's water, kind of thing. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I think if you put $50-$60 on there, your kid will be fine. They want me to call mom and dad to put more on there, and they sound desperate, but they're just fine. As far as phones, please no technology. Woodlands does ask that you don't try and communicate with your kid. I know that seems weird because it's your kid, and you're like, I should be able to communicate with my kid whenever. Let me give you a little example. There was a kid whose parents were going through a really, really hard divorce, and she came to camp, and you could see she was coming out of this funk by like day 2. Well, dad really wanted to talk to kid, and he made it happen. Girl went back in the funk real quick. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with you guys. I think what they're saying is, hey, we'd really appreciate it if the only communication you have is if it's an emergency. It's not always that drastic of a story, but I think they're saying, like, man, this is like detox for most kids. Get them away from their phones, their normal routine, the crazy of life back home, and let them just be inundated with God's word and camp. However, we will be there. So you have immediate access to your kid through us. So parents are texting me all the time. Make sure my kid's taking his medicine, or remind my kid to wear sunblock.
So, not that I'm going to do it, but your cell phone would be our fastest way to communicate to you.
And if I'm in the lake
Directly.
or I'm not picking up, then give us grace. I'll get back to you quickly.
I'm just making sure you had cell signal, and that was
That's
Yeah.
what I
There's
was
absolutely, there's cell signal. You could also call Woodlands directly. If for some reason you couldn't get a hold of us and it's an emergency, call Woodlands. They would directly connect with the counselor that your child's with, and then also get a hold
And
of
that's
us.
a communication method that's okay with you. Like, because
listen,
last camp it was.
I'm taking
limited cell
pictures
service.
all the time with kids and sending them to mom and dad.
Our phones are usually.
Yeah, I'm FaceTiming parents. I'm like, hey, here's your kid, and they'll talk. I don't know if Woodlands loves it, but it is what it is.
Well, it's just, like I said, just an emergency
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
We're here to serve you guys. Like, we shepherd your kids, but we're also partnering with you guys. So if you want to, I have parents call all the time. And normally it's stuff like, have them remember to drink lots of water. They passed out last year. I'm like, oh, they did. Thank you. And I'm like, hey, so-and-so, remember last year, drink your water. And they're like, oh, thanks. So there's just so many
Where's
of them.
my water bottle?
Exactly.
Do they
Yeah.
have
my water bottle.
Now, as far as this next thing, you don't have to do it. I'm just letting you know. Every year, parents will mail, like, camp stuff. Letters in the mail, care packages. This normally hits really hard with middle school, not high school, because they know. There's nothing worse than when you're in the 7th grade, and during lunch, they call names to come get letters, and that kid's just sitting there. And they're like, am I getting something?
Yeah, that's the worst. I still remember that feeling, actually, as an adult. It's very sad.
Yeah, but if you look at your kid and go, hey, just FYI, you will see people get, I'm not sending you anything. I've put $100 on you.
That's right. If you just
Just tell them.
rip off the Band-Aid and say,
Yeah, just tell
sit
them.
there
Just
and
let them
sit-
know.
I did that with Levi. I'm like, hey,
Unless
Levi,
that's your
I'm not sending you
parent.
nothing.
So
Your gift is camp and the $100. Are you good? He'll go,
Yes.
yeah, I'm good. But if Levi doesn't know,
Yes.
I know the way Levi is wired. He'll be the victim. He'll be sad, weepy.
I love that you tell parents that.
Well, so what's the majority? Is the majority that send letters, or majority don't send
The
letters?
majority just give them to me. And then they'll say, hey, can you get this to my kid on Wednesday?
Oh, okay.
And it's like a note, and it's like, hey, praying for you. You're going to do great.
No,
You
but
do
as far as
so-"
students receiving stuff,
Oh, lots.
so there's a majority that do receive stuff.
Well, in our personal youth group, I would say 50-50, but I'm talking just campers, because we're not the only youth group there.
Oh, okay.
So they could be eating lunch, and it's a kid from Timbuktu getting something, but they still feel
Yeah.
connected to that
Yeah,
somehow.
even their cabin won't be exclusively North
Okay.
Hills. So they'll like Liberty will be hanging out with girls from other states and places
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
The vast majority will be North Hills, because they want to keep our group together, but it wouldn't be weird for Liberty to have 5 girls from Tennessee in her cabin.
I'm just trying to figure out like how that fits. Like, will we look like the bad parents for not sending them a care package?
Yep.
I'm just
Okay.
looking out for myself right now. That's
Yeah.
saving face.
self-preservation.
They're smart. Okay.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
Do we get to choose who they're in the cabin with?
That was my next thing. Well done.
Great.
Roommate request.
Yeah.
This is something you need to communicate with Woodlands. So it wouldn't be a, hey, Tim and Nick, can you make this happen? We're not over that. So you would just call Woodlands and say, hey, Elijah is coming with North Hills this week. We would love for him to be with this kid. And
Can
then
you do that online?
Yeah.
Like, I think you can do that whenever they log in under their kid's account. I think there's a section for roommate requests.
You can only put 2 people on it.
Yeah.
So if you have multiple people, you have to have like a
Well,
string.
Yeah,
So like everyone's connected.
yeah.
So they all request each other.
Yeah,
But you can
exactly.
only request 2, so
Gabby-
it's not like 2 people can request each other and that's it. You might not get connected with everyone else. It's like you have to request you and you have to request you, you have to request you.
Yeah.
It's like a daisy chain.
Is there an absolutely not checkbox?
So do we know, would my child know who else from the group
Please
is
don't
going?
room with.
or
we can
not
get that
going?
to you.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be
if
helpful,
you
because
ask-
Sarah was really nervous that a lot from her closer friend group was not going, and so she was
That can
kinda
be
like,
hard.
I think I'm the only one.
Are you asking who else going?
Yeah,
I can get that to you.
okay.
Yeah, good.
No, actually.
Okay, food allergies. If your kid has food allergies, you got to communicate that to us now. You are okay to send. So this kid already graduated, but his name was Paul Fuller. Had crazy allergies. So mom would pack a cooler of stuff, and I would take it. And then when I would get to camp, I'd put it in their fridge, and then Paul would just go to that cooler and eat his sandwiches, or he just couldn't have any of the camp food. This is only though, like if your kid's gonna die from the food. It's not like, well, they prefer gluten-free bread, so could you swap? No, like we're not catering that hardcore to your needs. But if it's like, no, if he eats that, he's going to the hospital. Well, okay, we'll accommodate that. But I've had,
Yes.
yeah. And I'm saying this with an older son who Judah is eating his nuts. I never expect for Treehouse Camp to have that for Judah, so I send it with Judah. And I think it's good for him to learn. Swap out your bread. You don't need someone doing this for you. Go and grab your bread and swap it out and this, that, and the other.
But yeah, like Liberty she's lactose intolerant and like she will vomit like crazy if she has regular milk. Because she knows. Like she knows her limits. So she'll like avoid stuff.
She's old enough.
Yeah.
And if she lets her counselor know, like, hey, where can I get the special milk I need? They might have it.
Yeah, like
Or if you bring a carton of it with, she could go and grab it and use that throughout the week. Just make sure you get that to me at check-in.
So you have access to a refrigerator, just you, but it's not like each counselor has.
The
little
counselor will
refrigerators
go
in there.
back behind the kitchen and grab it from like the special needs
Okay.
fridge. I think it's not special needs, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the, yeah.
She needs that.
And the week before camp, you can go online and see what they're serving the kids, which I think is helpful. So like
Oh,
Levi,
you can see their menu?
a week before. So we did this last year. Levi, come and look. Monday, you're getting pizza. Tuesday, you're getting chicken nuggets. And he's like, okay, great. Like he would get excited. If Levi didn't know what he was eating, it made him nervous.
Yeah.
So you can go on there and see.
Those are actually the dates.
Okay,
registered.
I'm going to go really quickly through the what to bring stuff.
You may wanna wait.
Oh, okay.
She didn't hear that last thing about the menu either, probably.
Oh, hey, Cheryl. Cherry. I had to say cherry in my brain before. You can go on to Woodlands' website a week before camp and see the menu of what they'll be serving them.
Okay.
Okay, what to pack? Twin size sheets or a sleeping bag. So like they'll get there and it'll just be a plain Jane mattress. So have them bring twin sheets to kind of, those annoying things you have to fold over the corners. Blanket and pillow. Beach and bath towel. Like the towel to dry off out of the shower, the towel to dry off out of the lake. The number one outfit you see 24/7 is athletic clothes. Kids are normally in gym shorts, tank top, t-shirt. Every now and then you might see the girls for night chapel wear something a little nicer, like khaki shorts but that's the minority. Most kids, they realize they're at camp, they're not trying to look good, it's hot. For the females, one-piece bathing suit. I do know a tank bikini is fine. It's not a tankini, is what I learned last year. I said tankini and got laughed at. It's a tankini. That is fine.
They don't need swim shirts for the boys.
swim shirts.
Shirts, like a rash guard.
I mean, if you want to.
They can if they want.
But
A lot
it's
of kids will
not
wear them
requested.
to not get burned.
Yeah, that's what Eli
But
told her.
but lake time, male and female is split.
Okay.
The free time on the other side of the camp for like soccer and gaga, that's male female together. Woodlands does a really good job of making lake time just same sex.
So good.
Tennis shoes. I'll see kids running around in flip flops and their toes get hurt. So I mean, flip flops are fine if it's not during all the playtime. And then insect repellent, sunblock or sunscreen, and then a water bottle would be great. They have places to fill those up, filtered water all over the camp.
It'll save big money.
Yes, you're exactly right. Bible and a notebook. This one, if your kid doesn't bring it, they will be super annoyed, is a flashlight. I have noticed over the years, kids bring a plastic trash bag for their wet items.
Just
The netted ones are better because the plastic ones hold all that water and they stink so bad. So if you do the netted ones,
yeah,
I was gonna say.
Mary Beth and I've gotten to where we take a laundry bag every time we go somewhere, just so we can separate clean and dirty. It
Yep.
makes it a lot easier, and especially at camp, it's a improvement.
do they have places to hang the really wet clothes so they
Oh,
can
yeah.
dry out before they go in the bags?
They have massive
Clotheslines.
porches, and you'll see towels hung over those banisters, swimsuits.
Each cabin has massive, man, it does sound nice.
And then two other things, a rain jacket, don't have to have it, but it'd be nice. And then this last thing I think is so fun to pack with your kid. I've seen it get very popular. Like when I was in, high school, I'm sure all of us, the wind-up cameras were like the coolest, and you would take them to Eckert's and get the film developed.
Do they
Because
still sell
they do.
They do, and they still develop film. You just have to remember to pick it up.
Yeah. But kids are like, man, if I can't bring my
Sure.
phone, they
It
really
makes
want
it
to take
fun.
video or pictures.
For you.
But you'll see kids with wind-up cameras, which I think is so fun. Yeah, it's cool.
them? Vintage.
You don't have to, though.
I mean, just because, what if we sent a digital camera?
That should be
Because
fine.
I think digital camera's fine. I think the main thing they're concerned about are these.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
That should be
I
fine.
think, honestly, I think digital camera's fine.
Yeah.
For theft though, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, it's
You want to send a
even.
$600 one.
Yeah, we would even, before phones were a big thing, we would really encourage students not to bring technology stuff just for the sake of losing it or it getting damaged or whatever. And then you go home and mom and dad are upset because, your expensive technology is broken.
Yeah, and then we get
Yeah,
Here.
I mean,
But
it's just,
now,
It's kind of a
digital
weird thing,
cameras
though.
are,
well, like for instance, the last camp and the polar plunge and stuff like that, it was nice to see the pictures and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But then it would be, and slightly selfish, but like for Liberty to take video of her and her friends going through camp and seeing little things and
I
like
love
giving her a biography
yeah.
is kind of things that are in my head as far as like memories and trying to
Yeah,
capture.
for sure.
I journal every day.
Do
I'm
we
with
think
you.
we need to like confirm that?
No, digital cameras are fine. I've seen kids with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smartwatches are okay because they wouldn't have their phones, they wouldn't have access to texting and things like that.
They
It's
don't
just
like
a knockoff.
smartwatches just
They have
because
to be like,
some smartwatches connect to the satellites even if it doesn't have the phone, and they can call, they can text.
Yeah.
and so even though ours can't, we wouldn't do it because
should
they
be
would
fine
probably
if
get
it
in
can.
trouble because they have one.
I don't know. I mean, I think if yours is a Wi-Fi only,
I think
to
they're,
me it's
I
not
know
a
it
big
would be
deal.
like
I don't know
another
that they
thing to
would
do.
make a thing about it. I don't think so.
they're pretty anti-technology.
Yeah.
Like even if they saw him tinkering on it during the lesson, they would probably be like,
Okay, we'll just get them a analog.
yeah. Okay, now I'm going to talk about things not to bring. But before I do that, the number one thing that's lost every year are Chacos, really expensive Chacos. So if your kids bring in the Chacos, just help them, label them, or just don't bring them. Chacos are like the nice Jesus-looking sandals.
The toaster
That's
rainbow.
really funny that you're saying that.
Every year we have handfuls of kids lose their Chacos.
It's because Chacos are like the shoe that camp counselors wear. So there's only so many prints and only so many designs.
When they look like everyone else.
And let everybody, even if you have different, they just get lost.
Even if you took a permanent marker, like on the sole of it, and wrote Liberty or Andy, Toy Story. Okay, don't bring body piercings. They do not like body piercings because they'll be dock wrestling. The eyebrow thing comes ripping out. They just don't want even.
Even their earrings?
Yep.
Can they have
Regular earrings?
studs or do we
Yeah,
need to?
studs are fine.
Okay.
Those are the little things that
Yeah,
keep
the
the
little
ear from
tiny
closing.
one from-
Yeah.
yeah.
They really hate spaghetti straps.
Okay.
So no spaghetti straps for girls. It says here, and I quote, tight tank tops or crop tops.
Good for them.
They're not big
Shouldn't be
fans of
having
it.
none- Shouldn't be having none of that kind of stuff.
They're really not big fans of spandex or yoga pants. Now, I think the yoga pants is fine if the girl wears them and has a long t-shirt. Again, I don't have daughters. We don't have a dress code for Alive. But again, when we're guests in someone else's house, we kind of have to
Yeah.
play by their rules.
I think as long as they wear shorts or their rear's covered with a long shirt, then they're good. But just in general.
Later this week, I'll email you a typical schedule of Woodlands. My boys are wired. What am I doing? Like when I go, okay, here's what you're doing. You're gonna wake up, you have this, and they feel served by that. Other than that, that's all we got. Any questions or anything else that we can do to help serve you guys?
So my daughter's, when she gets bit by bugs, mosquitoes and stuff, she swells up really big. So we usually always have her have a lot of that itch cream. Is that something that we should send with her, or that she would have to go to the nurse to get?
I think itch cream she can just keep in her cabin.
Okay, like with her sunscreen, I can just
Yeah,
get in with that.
exactly.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just don't eat it.
I don't think I've seen any kids OD on itch cream.
What were you eating?
Yeah, you're
She
fine.
won't eat it. She'll just lather herself up.
Yeah.
What's the shower situation? Are they attached to the cabins or are they?
They're inside the cabin, connected to the room. It's also the shower when you go in. There's a curtain for a space to change, and then another curtain to shower.
They have hooks in there so they can hang their
Oh,
bags
yeah.
and stuff?
Yep.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And so y'all tell them flip-flops in the shower probably, just for germs?
Yeah, I would do that for sure.
I don't know if I've ever told kiddos that, but it's smart.
Yeah, I would.
Because that's, can be raunchy in there.
Mhm.
I
You
will
don't
say
wanna
though,
get any kind
these
of
are
foot fungus.
really nice cabins.
They're really nice
I'm not
cabins,
saying-
but they're teenage boys.
Yeah.
So.
What's it called? Athlete's foot or whatever. I'm not saying that can't happen, but like the cleaning crews that come in after
So
the weeks.
exciting,
And,
I'm so excited for them.
yeah, there's a reason why.
Have you gone onto the Woodlands website?
No,
yet?
I'm gonna go.
Go on there, and they should have. I was trying to find it real quick, but I couldn't. But I know they have like a photo album of like different parts of the camp, and you can see the cabins.
Yeah, and if you go to the student tab of the Alive website, we have Woodlands recap videos from years past
Mhm.
that your kids can watch. Again, that's important for mine. Show me where am I going, and we'll YouTube it, and they want to see it.
Out of curiosity, you said that there's parents that pick up kids.
Mhm.
If we were to do that, my reason to do that would be I'd love to see the facility.
Yeah, I
Sure.
would too.
So is that something
As
that
far as
would
like touring the facility,
Well,
or you
not
just have to
necessarily a
picking it up and you're
tour.
like, oh, okay, cool.
I mean, I'd love to walk a little bit, and I'm just curious if that's a possibility.
I'm glad you brought that up. So in years past, they would park the parents, drop off and pick up, and the parent could walk around for a little bit, give them a hug and a kiss. Now, because the camp has grown so much numerically, you actually don't get out of your car, but you'll still see
Yeah,
it.
it's a constant.
It's a
just
constant
line.
flow.
For pickup and drop off?
Well, I'm sure there's a security issue with that.
Yeah.
There's security, but I think it was also congestion. But you'll still see it. You just won't be able to get out of your car. They don't even let us go inside the cabins. And their saying is, your kids love you, but to every other kid that's not in your youth group, you're just a strange man.
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How many kids are there at the same time? I guess maybe they'll give me
it's
some
going to be a
perspective.
lot this summer, only because they bought the adjacent property and are constructing and building a whole nother camp. And that camp will be elementary school summer round, and the normal camp will just be middle school and high school. I think this year there's going to be 1,500 kids
Wow.
on the camp, but elementary will not mix with middle school and high school. And when it's middle
So
school
that's
week,
one of
it's
the
just
cabins
middle
right
school.
there. Or no, that's the
That's the
worship-
chapel.
That's the chapel.
Mm.
But the cabins look similar.
Is there gonna be a person from, North Hills taking pictures of our kids all week?
No, they do. But
Woodlands does.
we will send you the Smug Mug
Smug
link.
mug.
And they're really great with social media. They update that.
I'm guessing you can buy the pictures from them or something.
No, they'll let you know. Your kid will come home with a piece of paper with a QR code on how to get the recap video, the pictures.
Cool.
That's all included in.
Yeah.
They did that with the freestyle when they went that summer. Remember, we would see pictures of them on the water slides and stuff.
This seems so much like the Wilds. Are you familiar with the Wilds?
I am. Yeah.
It's
I don't know
They
much.
take pictures and post it
Mm,
every
good.
day. They post every day, that day's
Oh,
pictures.
yeah.
So we need to join their Facebook, probably?
I
group?
would.
I think through Smug Mug, which is something you log into.
You can see it daily.
Yeah, you can see it there, so
Cheryl.
I don't know how much is.
Yeah.
That's a
Do you have my
cabin
cell
right
phone
there.
number?
I do.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I might have
That's
some
a
more
cabin.
questions.
That's
Yeah,
a
call
I'm
me.
just thinking about, so
Call me.
if they have like, hair dryers or.
So how many kids is
Yep.
in that
So
one place?
I'll text you, call you.
That's
Yeah.
a big cabin.
Yeah.
So like one cabin
Thank
has,
you
is
for
it
coming.
where it's like one room where it's like 8 kids and 1 counselor? And then like there's several of those rooms in one of those?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a giant room. where
It's a
open
giant
and
building
like
with a lot
4
of
bunk
large
beds.
capacity rooms.
So if the room was like this, the counselor has like a king size bed,
Uh-huh.
and then the room is just bunk beds,
All around.
wrapped in bunk beds, and then like that door would go into the bathroom.
Mhm.
This door would go to the hallway to get out.
I see. And then there's multiple of those in a cabin.
King size bed?
That's
They,
crazy.
they actually, well,
Living it
or
up, man.
queen, but if you're asking a person to stay there for 3.5 months, Woodlands it's like Chick-fil-A. Woodlands is like the Chick-fil-A of camp. Like the people they hire are just different than Bojangles, just different than
It's just
McDonald's.
And
They're-
they're there all summer.
Their counselors are awesome, and they want incentives to get the best.
Sure.
Like, man, I don't want to come be your counselor for, like, I'm sleeping on this thin mattress. And they're like, well, actually, this is your room. Come,
And
like,
you guys are gonna be there?
Yeah.
And what do you guys do there? Just curiosity wise.
it's a wonderful question. So Nick and I will be there the entire week, but the whole Alive staff will come down Wednesday. That's when we plan, like, deeper weekend.
So you guys do get involved.
We're not
No,
really
they
involved
have
with
a
camp.
class.
We
There's
usually have
a lot.
time to plan our year.
We're there. Like, if a kid breaks their elbow, they'll come and find us, but we are not involved. We go to chapel.
So you're detached, but you come for chapel.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
they,
there if you need
I'm
to,
just
but you're
curious
not.
what that looked like.
No, the joke on staff is, so like when I first started doing it in like 2012, 2013, I would hear jokes on staff like Tim's going on vacation or Tim. There are moments, now that I have Nick, it won't be as bad, but there are moments